So we're going to kick off your financial setup by building your library of payment plans. So navigate down to Company, Payment Plans. So your payment plans are living in the company level. So you can have multiples, you can have venue specific wedding payment plans or payment plans that work for multiple venues as you choose. So we're going to go Actions, Add New Payment Plan. The first thing you want to do is name this. So I'll just call this the standard wedding. Something that is meaningful to your staff. The customer doesn't see this, but when your sales team or whomever is confirming an event, so moving it from date on hold to pre-confirmed, they're going to build the package and assign a payment plan. Now, the payment plan is the installment payments of that package. So that package could be just venue hire, if you're dry hire. It could be what's included. So 100 adults, 10 kids, with this menu and that drink menu and venue hire, your ceremony fee. So your initial base package is 10 grand. This payment plan is going to be payments for that 10 grand. The payment plan does not include any additional add-ons. So if they add 10 more guests, or they upgrade the chicken to beef Wellington, or upgrade the Prosecco to champagne, any of those additional upgrades that they make throughout the planning process are not accounted for in your payment plan. Instead, those will be additional charges created once those related sections are locked. So when they lock their guest section and they have 10 more guests at £100 per person, it will generate that charge for £1,000 for extra guests. So this is your base package price. So name it so your staff or your team will know they're picking the correct payment plan. And the reason you may want multiple payment plans is a wedding that is booked 9 months out could very well have a different payment plan than a wedding that's in 24 months. Or a wake for next week will have a different payment plan than a birthday party in 3 months. Okay, so that's why you want to have different payment plans. I'm going to call this standard wedding. You can have a description. So it could be the deposit plus 3 payments, something like that. Now, deposit amount. This is the amount, it's a flat fee that's your booking fee. That will be due the day of booking. Now, this is a flat fee. If you use a percentage for your booking fee, we'll add that in a moment. We'll assume that this is a flat fee of $1,500. And the text, call that deposit, I'm going to say non-refundable, because per my terms and conditions, that booking fee is non-refundable. So if you book, you pay the $1,500 and you cancel, you don't get that $1,500 back. The escrow. Check out the video on what is the escrow to learn more about this. But basically, this is your damage waiver. So money you intend on giving back, but you're holding till, maybe it's 2 weeks, maybe it's 30 days post-event for any unpaid bar tabs or property damage or whatever the case may be. So what you name it, I'm going to call it security deposit. And mine is going to be, I'm going to do 1,000, about 10% of my average. And beforehand, I want that 16 weeks before the event. So escrow weeks is the event date. So 16 weeks before the event. And charge category, I'm going to do tax exempt. I do not have that on this money. But if I use this money against other charges, then that will be applied. If I'm collecting it without tax. Now I'm going to hit save. Now I can start putting in the payments. So there's a couple ways you can do this. You can set it up as percentages or fixed, or you can even have a combination. You can also set up single payments or monthly. So let's first start with a single payment and then I'll show you the monthly. So I have my flat fee deposit, my booking fee due at the day of. Now let's say that you do a percentage booking fee. I'm going to take this off up here. And this way there's not a deposit associated. And now I'm going to say 0 days after the booking, I have a 15% booking fee. So this is where I can make that initial deposit a percentage instead of a flat amount. Now, if you are undecided on how you want to handle this, I would recommend that you leave it as a flat amount because we do have a workflow where you can change the payment plans on events. So if you have an event where they've got, a traditional wedding for 100 people and they decide that they want to change to a twilight wedding for 50 and you allow them to do this and you redo the package, you want to reapply the payment plan, you can leave off the deposit. Sonas just knows this as a payment, so it's going to generate this one again. So if you ever reapply payment plans, you should probably stick to the flat deposit amount. So I'm going to do that now that we've had that chat. Okay, so I'm going to say, I'm going to start out with 12 months. I have 3 payments, so 12 months before the event date, single payment of 33%. And I'm going to call that installment 1. Okay, now this is 33% and it's yelling at me because it has to add up to 100. I'm going to add another one. 6 months before event, 33%. And it has to be a solid number, so I can't do 33.3. Installment 2. And now, can you guess what it's going to be? 3 months before the event, 34%. So now we've equaling 100, so that warning below went away. And I'm going to say final package payment. I'm not saying final balance. I'm not saying final payment because there hopefully will be more charges. Hopefully they upgraded to the beef Wellington and they upgraded to champagne and they picked 6 different services from the service section. So we don't want this to be their final, but this is the final of their initial package amount. And I can hit save, and now that's created. So let's look at some other ways we can do this. We could not use percentages, and so maybe it's 2,500 here, and then it's 50-50. So you could do a mix of fixed charges and then the breakdown of your package. You could do 1,500, 2,500. Oh, I didn't like that. Let's try that again. So we could go to 12 months before the event. Yes, we could do the fixed. So 2,500. Then we can do 2,500 again. And then I can add another payment here, maybe 7 days before for 100%. So whatever is remaining in that final package. So something like that, right? So we'd have installment 1 is fixed, installment 2 is fixed, and then the final payment would be the 100% of what's left. So you can do something like that. Now, what does the monthly plan look like? So with the monthly plan, you can break it out, like you have the booking fee up here, you could have a booking fee here, and the rest monthly. You could do maybe 12 months out, you have a fixed fee, and then everything else is monthly. But typically we see it done where you put in when you want it complete. So I want everything paid 3 months before the event. I want it monthly. And I want 100% to be paid. So basically saying I want 100% of the package to be paid, of course, minus the deposit amount up here, to be paid 3 months before. So it's going to take however many months between booking and 3 months before, and it's going to divide the balance of that package out over however many months there are. Okay, so if it's 6 months, it'll divide it 6 times. If there's 18 months, it'll divide it 18 times. So that's another option. Again, you can put in your booking fee due at the time of booking as a percentage, and then the rest of it can be monthly payments. So that works as well. So kind of play around with it. Definitely test it and make sure that everything is falling into place as you would expect. You can test it by putting a test event through pre-confirmation, or you can test by just going up to a test event. You'll have your test data in. Actually, this part you might have some out, so you can create your test event. So see the video on creating a dummy event, where you can actually go in and go to transactions and say, okay, I want to test my packages or test my payment plans. Go to action, change payment plan, and kind of put in how you would break down a package, pretend wise, and pick your payment plan, generate deposit, yes or no, yes to see what it looks like, and hit next. And then you can see how it ended up being. So I ended up not hitting save when we did the standard package. But you can see that this came through, that escrow is highlighted in blue, and that's in addition to the package price. And these dates are today because today I'm generating that payment plan. But just so you can make sure that that all falls into place and is as you expect. And then repeat this with your different payment plans. Again, building out a pre-approved library so your team has access to some different payment plan options for the customer, so they're not having to run to finance every time somebody wants something a little different. They're empowered with some choices for